Now that Ovechkin's won his cup, this is much like we all think of, oh, it was so fantastic. Bourque goes from Boston to Colorado, and finally Ray Bourque, took him a year, but Ray Bourque gets his Stanley Cup, and there was much joy. Are there players now in the league that you say to yourself, man, you just want to see this guy win a Stanley Cup? We saw this a couple of years ago with Joe Thornton. Win it for Joe. San Jose finally makes it to the Stanley Cup final. Are there players that are out there right now? The Sedins are gone, but are there players out there right now that you think of and you say, man, you would just love to see this guy win a Stanley Cup? Anybody come to mind? Lushko.
Jay Bouwmeester. Is that one?
Sure.
I think that, him, a guy like Ryan Kessler as well. There's a few guys out there that have been doing it for such a long time and are just solid guys. Jay, you see him with how much success he's had with the Canadian Olympic team, international events, and finally making the playoffs a couple of years ago with St. Louis. But a guy like that, I think you'd feel pretty good. It would be a feel-good story, the same way that you see Ovi raise a cup if a guy like Jay Bouwmeester were able to win a cup.
So I'll give you a name.
Go.
Carey Price.
30 years old, goaltender.
30-year-old goaltender. You're sitting there and you're Carey Price with all the things he's accomplished in his career to this point, and he's sitting there, and when he's watching that last night with the state of the Habs, does Carey Price have a chance as one of the greatest goaltenders to probably ever play the game? He's going to definitely be right up there with them, and with the greats. And depending on how quick, but let's not kid ourselves. Rebuilds happen quickly. Rebuilds can happen fast. So, better be a hell of a first pick there this year. They get it.
Well, they got third overall.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We know he's going to be a heck of a player.
See what happens. Do you put there's two other netminders that would probably come to mind. One is Henrik Lundqvist, and the other is Roberto Luongo.
Yeah.
Do you put those right up there in the Alexander Ovechkin category? What does this guy have to do to win a Stanley Cup?
No, I think you would, especially with Luongo, when he lost to Boston, a heartbreaker when he was in Vancouver. You wanted to see him when the storyline was following
with the
him.
Rangers against the Kings.
The same thing, right? So
both of them.
100%. I would say that those guys you tend to feel the same way towards them winning it, or the storyline would be about them if they were in the Cup final again. And I'm thinking maybe a sentimental one for Doug would be Rick Nash, maybe. 32-year-old guy, and here's another guy that's had a great career right now. That would be another great story if he won.
So, you know what? When you play in the finals, or you coach in the Stanley Cup finals, and you think it's an unbelievable empty feeling. And I was thinking and feeling for the Vegas guys. Listen to them in the room last night, especially Fleury. Listen to him. He's won.
Sure.
But listen to the other guys in the room, and listen to Gerard and how proud he was of his team and how hard they played and what they accomplished. You just don't know if you're ever going to get back. Yeah. When you lose in a Stanley Cup final, you're there, you're in it, and you just don't know how many guys, and we just mentioned Lundqvist and Roberto Luongo go to the Stanley Cup finals. Great players. And you just don't know if you're ever going to get back. It is so tough to get to the finals. It's a grind of all grinds.